My name's Sony. Welcome back to another VR video. Today's video takes place in Project TX just for a moment, but this is not a Project TX update. As you can see, there's a few changes in the game though, and I'll just give you a little sneak peek of some of those. You can see I'm also dressed up as Agent 47 in this video. That's because today's video I kind of want to go a little bit over the Hitman VR update for PC. Now, it's not really a review. I might do a proper video on this as well, which is sort of like a how it works video. I think there's a lot to talk about in that game, but for now we'll just get into that game, and let's just get our pistols out. But for now, yes, we may as well just get over here. Ignore the lightsaber. That's unlicensed for now, but here we go. Wonderful. Right, switch over to my camera. Hello! And grab this thing out. There we go. Let's get into the game. And here we are in Hitman 3 VR. So I am using Oculus CV1 controllers. I'm using an Oculus Rift CV1, but I've tested this game both on Oculus CV1 and on the Quest 2 as well. So here we are. I'm just in the tutorial section just to get things going. You can all immediately see there's a little bit of wibbly wobbliness, so there's a little bit of sort of semi-physics. But as you can see, it is just sort of the regular animated ragdoll type physics, where your hand just is super duper strong, like infinitely strong. If I was to push it on a wall, you can see it's almost immediately, it just slides along, and then it's immediately returning to position. Let's try it here. Immediate return to position. There we go. And that's kind of just because it's an infinitely strong spring, right? And then of course the same applies with all character movement systems and all of that. Of course, the problem is that, well, I mean, there's no real problem with this. It's kind of standard thing. One thing to note about this game is that it's about 100 million, thousand, million, billion, trillion times better than Skyrim VR's attempt at VR, because, you know, I can actually play it for more than 5 minutes without uninstalling the game. That's actually how bad Skyrim VR's sort of implementation is for me, by the way. I do get really quickly frustrated with it, to the point where I'll install it, try it again, because I'm sort of feeling like, oh, you know, I really want to try Skyrim in VR again. I might be able to handle it or do something to make the game feel good. And I never succeed at that, by the way. So literally, I've just never really enjoyed Skyrim VR. I know that there's mods available now that should make it playable and fun. Now you can see here all of the sort of physical objects in the game are already sort of working properly with the hand physics, right? I say properly to a certain extent. It doesn't really mean what you think it means. Now, there's a cool idea that they've come up with, which is the way that you activate and deactivate weapon physics. Well, not weapon physics, but weapons themselves. Now, the game is running as a regular PC game with VR just added on top, which is kind of what you want anyway, when it comes to a game like this. Unfortunately, that does mean something a lot more extreme. What it means is, and be aware of motion sickness here, if I move the mouse, you can see it actually moves the character controller, right? So when I turn the right analog stick, it's not, you know, it's not a VR system that's turning. This is actually, like, this is the actual mouse movement, right? So if I move the mouse, woo, you can see I'm able to turn the character. Right? Let me try and get the mouse off screen again. Sorry about the motion sickness. It doesn't apply to me, of course. But yeah, anyways, what that means is they kind of have an additional thing, which is unexpected, right? Which is the actual object activation idea. And they've got an animation for it as well. They've even got animations for hands moving away from the body. You can see there's actual, you know, ideas coming from this game. the developers actually care and have some passion for VR, despite the fact that it's a wibbly wobbly game, because unfortunately they didn't implement something new for VR. Excuse my voice dying out there. But they did implement some tiny new things, right? Which is the activation of weapons is a really good one, right? Now, unfortunately, there is a weirdness to this, but I'll show you that in a moment in the next scene. So you can see here, if I push him around, that just sort of pushes him around as a sort of regular push, without the weapon active. But with the weapon active, you can hear the sound difference, right? Which is great. Now, here's where things get a little bit awkward. The way that the player movement system is working is the regular player movement system in sort of regular Hitman game, but they override a lot of it with the VR rig. Now, unfortunately, that also means that they're not overriding the camera tracking, they're not overriding the movement system with camera tracking as well. Camera tracking is just added on, which you could tell from the mouse movement. What that means is, if I move my body, in reality, you detach from the player, right? And that gets extra frustrating in a moment when I show you what I'm going to show you. But before that happens, it does mean, of course, you can't actually turn your body all the way around. So you can see here, I'm all twisted, and that's because I turned around. So there we go. And then you're going to have to press the recenter button quite often, because if you've even taken a step, things get all awkward, right? So there we go. The other thing is, of course, the way dragging works, you don't have to be anywhere near. And now this is just my right hand. My left hand can go kind of anywhere it wants. It's mostly my right hand that activates this. But the game is blending between the two. The cool thing with VR is, you can speed things up a little bit. Oh, I can't throw it yet. But yeah, you can speed things up by sort of moving, just sort of dragging them using physics, right? But unfortunately, they didn't really allow you to use the animation system properly. So whenever there's an animation that you can't really do in VR without moving the head, they just black it out, and I don't really like that. Now, sometimes they don't have a physics object there, but so here we go. We've got a nice sword, and here's where you can see how the physics setup is actually done. When you activate the sword, unfortunately it goes into the sort of extremely tilted position, which is just a little bit too excessive. It is supposed to be slightly tilted, but it should be about here, right? Not here. When I'm holding my hand like this, you want a tilt that's about there, sort of diagonal, right? Not here. This is where it actually is. It's a bit excessive. I mean, it's so excessive. His fingers can't actually do that movement, right? There we go. It's sort of, he's holding them on the tips of his fingers. But yeah, there we go. Now, what you'll notice here is if I put my hands together, you can see they don't collide with each other, right? Now, I'm going to move both of my hands while touching each other, right? Can you see? Can you see what's happening with the sword, right? So the physics is active, and you can see that the sword is causing a damping, right? It's causing the spring joint to slow down as I move my hand, right? Remember, I'm moving both of my hands at the same time. So what you see on the left hand is actually what my right hand is doing in reality. However, when you activate an object, it moves exactly in sync. Now, it would be nice to have a little bit of weight. And I get what they're doing here. They make it feel weighty, and then you activate your strength when you hold the trigger, right? So now you're in high power mode, and this is how strong you would move. But before you do that, you just sort of nicely drag it around, which is there's some natural ideas going on. This hand looks great when you move it nearby and further away. But unfortunately, again, they've just done excess, right? So this is completely full tracking now. You know, there's no weight to it at all. Whereas this is very, very weighty. So it just feels completely out of the ordinary, right? So again, here you can just place your physics object inside them, and it wibbles and wobbles and schmibbles and schmobbles, and then you just go like that. Wonderful. Oh, actually, I want to try and get it into there. Perfect. Right. And then here we go. You can. Oh, I was supposed to use the sword for this bit, but oh well. You can, of course, dump them, and again, no, no visibility. It just fades out and it throws them, right? Really, really annoying. You can push these buttons without pressing the B button. If you place your hand somewhere. There we go, yeah. But otherwise you kind of hold the B button. Now here's something really cool that I really like. Once again, you can see the brick has weight to it, unless I activate it and then it moves perfectly in sync. But it's the throwing idea, right? So you could see earlier that I can throw things just by moving my hand, right? As an expected usual business stuff. But they've added the regular throwing arc from the regular game. Again, this is just the regular game playing with a VR camera, right? And some tracking on the hand animations. But you can see here that they've got the regular throwing arc, and that throwing arc, you just perform the throwing action and it matches the throwing arc, right? So if I was to arc it here, I can guarantee the hit on the thing, right? So it does make you feel kind of professional. Right, so we can store some things in our pocket. Now the holster point is a good idea. It's a good position, but it's not actually positioned in the correct manner. So let's talk a little bit about that. Here's a big problem, and this is something that I really, really want to put forward. I want a lot of VR developers to know this, right? And this applies to any game. Whatever game you're building, VR, non-VR, doesn't matter. If you're going to put it into VR, don't do this. You see this holster point? This holster point is not based on the VR tracking, which means if I move my body, notice? That's where the holster point is. Look at where my camera tracking is, right? Don't do this. Never do this. Never base your camera tracking, your functional holster points on the animated character body. Because watch this. As I move my left hand, my holster point moves, right? That's because it's animating the chest. You see the chest here? Really, really frustrating. It gets extra frustrating when you're walking. Look at this. If I move my body left or right with the analog stick, the holster point is going mad. It's going crazy. This is really frustrating. This is exactly what you don't want to do, right? Because the worst thing is, if I've accidentally stepped a little bit forward in my play space, yeah, that's a problem. Because now the holster point is like behind me, right? If I've stepped back, then of course, yeah, the holster point is miles away. It's so frustrating because when you're moving around while you're walking, sometimes the holster point will be right here. There you go. While I'm walking, sometimes the holster point would just appear into the hand position. And then when I'm actually using a weapon, sometimes I want to drop it on the floor. I'll holster it. Most of the time though, you'll want to put it in the holster and it just won't be there. It's so frustrating. It's a very, very frustrating thing. Never do this. Never attach any functional stuff at all to your avatar character model, right? Do it based on VR tracking. You have the VR tracking points, these two here, and the camera tracking. Just base it on that, please. It's horrible. It is an absolutely terrible thing. Now here's where the flexible avatar gets a little bit problematic, right? They've solidified. So the game uses this kind of mechanic, right, where you use both your hands and then trigger to actually grab the guy. The problem is, of course, the ragdolls are 100% flexible, and now I've broken the tutorial. I'm not joking. I cannot move. I've broken the tutorial. Oh god. Yeah. It goes through him. Alright, well let's try it some other way, right? Oh, perfect. Right, there we go. WASD. Oh no, they don't have S. Shoot. Right, okay, we turn a little bit there. W. Oh yeah, wonderful. I can't use the mouse because the sensitivity is like extreme. Oh, perfect. There we go. just the most unbelievable. Yeah, so there we go. Yeah, as you could see, the flexibility of the character models. Oh, great! Yeah, oh, there we go. I can move. Only forward. I've broken the tutorial, as you can see. But okay, I like this. I do like this, right? Which I can't actually do anymore. But yeah, I've broken the tutorial. I've broken the game. We're just gonna have to finish. We're not gonna be able to finish. I can't move left or right. I give up. Okay, so let me skip into a level and show you a few of the remaining problems. And we're back. So here we are in the first mission of the first game, actually. One of the brilliant things about this game is... Yeah, let me just recenter. Is that it allows you to play all three of the new series games in VR. So here we go. One of the big problems with the way the physics setup is done, right, is the collisions on the objects. Now, it's really weird because these objects in here are probably actual physics objects. Right? They're actually physics objects. The problem is that the collision won't allow you to reach them, right? Which, it's really weird because, look, sometimes the object will go in, right? But if you activate it, you can see that they're actually wobbling around and they're actually reachable, but there was a collision that prevented you from going in, and that collision was the actual bottles, right? It's a bit weird. Now, here's a cool idea that they had for the actual for the left-hand suitcase carrying, which is when you activate the throw button, it moves into your right hand, which is really cool because now I can control it like a regular object, you know. The usual wobble wibble, and I can activate it to throw it. You can see they haven't done finger animations for everything, but honestly it's shocking that they even did any, because that really is quite a lot extra to do, right? Now here's the thing with this, right? So here we go. Let's get our sniper out of that. Now what you're going to see on screen is just a regular sniper animation, right? Whoop! And there you go. You're seeing this on screen, right? You're seeing a nice aiming animation, which... Ooh, let me just... because I kind of analog stick rotate the camera at this point, right? But what you're seeing is not actually what I'm seeing, right? Because what you're seeing is this thing full screen. The problem is, in reality, as I move my head, the screen is just a flat surface in front of me, right? So if I turn my head over to this much, right, which you're not seeing fully, I have to turn my hand to aim, right? So this is my hand. All of this rotation is my hand. The problem is, when I turn my head, nothing's actually happening, right? So I'm turning my head right now, and you can see it dislodges the aim because my head is moving away from the gun. But of course, as I just mentioned, right, you can analog stick aim. So this tilting here, that's me analog sticking, right? you can tell that immediately. And of course, as I move, here we go, WASD, you can see it's actually rotating as well as I move, because that's just how this game, you know, movement system actually works. It's like that. That's how the game is supposed to be done. Now, if I use the actual mouse, things go even crazier, right? So you can see me moving almost super speed, and things just go really awkward. You can't really see what's going on, right? which is fine. Now, even when I release the aim, right, you can see the character corrects himself. But if you get motion sickness, then yeah, this is a problem if you get motion sickness, because the character controller is kind of correcting itself in rotation, which is really kind of annoying. But yeah, there we go. Now the left hand when aiming has no impact, which is a little bit annoying. You can see here, my left hand, it just touches the object, and that's it, really. It has no impact. The only impact that I'm having is the fact that I'm moving my body, right? In reality, which is why my right hand is moving at all. But yeah, which is kind of annoying. They could definitely have done some work on there. For the most part, all of this is just because it's a port, right? And it's a port from a port. It's a port to PSVR, and then from PSVR to this, right? Which is it's kind of frustrating. The other thing is this holster point sometimes just stays active, like it just stays visible, and then you have to put something near it to deactivate it, which is frustrating. Right? It's another one of those just frustrating for no reason kind of things. Now here's something cool, is the way they do aiming. So if I take out, for example, my pistole, so I take out my silver bullet, get some light going on, and if I half trigger, it activates the laser. That is flipping genius. Now with the sniper active, it actually goes into that slow-mo mode, which is available on some weapons, including these actually. You can get the pistols with the grip. Well, this has got the grip. Oh no, that was a mod. You don't get slow-mo with the pistols. Yeah, that was a mod. But there we go, right? So again, random things that you can break. It's wonderful that they have so many breakable objects, but of course you can see that the physics is a bit of a wibbly-wobbly mess in those situations, right? So let's get over to some place here.
Hello? Hello?
Let's just do it here, right? So we'll just go over here. In fact, woo! Someone check that out.
Hello? You! Can you check that out, please? Yeah. Oh, no, both of you. You're trying to take a look. Yeah. Hi. Check that out. What do you mean there's anybody there?
Right, so here's the cool thing, right? So I'm just going to move forward using W and then press Q. And there we go. I've got the game going the regular chokehold mode, except it's in VR. So I pressed Q on my keyboard. This is not supposed to be possible. It's wonderful. Look at this. Look at this beautiful mess over here. Oh, good. Good. Look at this. I can still see my gun. And when the fade out happens, you can see that the shader actually still has his head, and his head is tracking my head tracking. Right, let me press Q and get him. I'm just gonna have to keep tapping Q, and there we go. Yeah, wonderful. I break games immediately. Okay, it's just a natural habit. It's what I do. I break games. I always loved the fact that in this new Hitman game you can actually still target them for throws when they've fallen down. Yes, but here we go. Drag. And then just woo. It is definitely more fun in VR, right? But it's a janky mess. That's the problem, right? It's a real janky, and you can't see it yet. Like you haven't seen anything super janky about it yet. But let me just race through here, and I'll show you. And here we are in the kitchen. The kitchen is a wonderful place because the kitchen has this knife. This knife which just does not work, right? What? It's just beautiful, right? If I activate it, perfectly fine. But if I don't activate it, and the physics does not like holding this knife. Just this knife, right? This knife. Try and put it in. There we go. Right? Now, I gotta be careful because now that I've picked up that knife, things are gonna get a little bit awkward because there's a very high chance now that my hand is going to break. Oh! It's not me.
It's not me. I'm not Hitman. Out of my way. Out of my way.
Right, okay. So let's try that again. There we go. Functional knife. Wonderful. Yeah. I don't know what it is. A lot of objects do this. It's almost like there's a collider there. Right? There must be some sort of collision here. Right? Let me move slowly, carefully. Physics is working. Oh, no. Physics. No. We're back. Right. Just do it. Just carefully. No. This is right, there we go. I can just hold the trigger, no problem, right? And then things are breakable. Right? Things are breakable. But look at this. Look, and then eventually it'll get to a point where the hand just breaks, right? So here we go. It's kind of getting to that point. Oh, there we go. And it's just broken. Oh, the music. Right, so now the hand's just broken. Oh, there we go. It's fixed. It's just this entire area here. It's almost like there are trigger zones in this game, right? And some objects have a collision that actually collides with the trigger zones. I just don't know what it is that causes this problem. I don't know. But there you go. Anyways, I've got plenty more to say about this game and lots of things to break and then show you later on. But until then, let me just sort this game out. So there we go. I shall see you in the next video. This one's been a complete mess, but that's the whole point, right? I'll do a proper how it works on this game or a review or something. Bye.